everybody, it's Renee, and I am back with the next month in our National Stamping Month Cut Above Layout Kit, Memories in the Making, from Close to My Heart. Today we're going to be working on the April layout. This kit is available September 1st through 30th while supplies last, so if you like what you see, you might want to go ahead and grab it up. There are several bundle options, which I've covered in a previous video and on my blog, which I will link for you. And what I'm using is the big kit. It's called the calendar kit with stamps. So the one we're going to be doing today is April. So here's our April layout. I'll go ahead and show you the pieces we've got going on. We've got a sticker sheet, which has the word spring. And we have a photo mat. We have our photo placeholders. This is another one where the photos are 3x4, but the mat is actually sized so you could do a 4x6. So if you decide you didn't want to do two pictures, but you just wanted to do one, or if you want to do one with journaling and one with the picture, you have a lot of flexibility there. We also have some die cuts. So we have some really skinny strips. So I think we're going to use tape on those to hold those in. We've also got this piece. We've got another skinny strip. We've got a flower, and we have a tag topper. So we'll go ahead and get going by putting our base page down. Our base page is printed, so we just want to make sure that we get our orientation right. So the flower goes at the bottom, and we'll go ahead and put a little bit of tape to hold it down, just like we always do. And again, I bent that a little bit. And get that straight. Okay, so we are ready. I love how this one has this it has edges that are almost like watercolor. Whenever I see watercolor paintings, the first thing that comes to my mind is spring. It just seems like spring to me when you see watercolor. So what we're going to do first is we're going to create our large cluster. So we've got a lot of stuff going on in this cluster. So I think the first thing that we want to do is take our blue photo mat and put our skinny green polka dot strips on. I think that should be our first thing. So for that, I'm going to use and luckily none of these are directional prints, so that's good. But I think I'm going to use my technique of using tape to hold these down because they're just so thin. I don't want to try to overlap them behind because I don't want to lose any of the green polka dot. I really like this green polka dot. So I think what we'll do is put a couple pieces of tape here to hold it in. All I did was butt them together. I'm using this blue as my background so that I can see what I'm doing. And I'm actually having trouble holding this tape with my fingers in the way. So I think we'll use our reverse tweezers to make sure we don't overlap. And if you do accidentally, put this down and your tape extends, you can just use your scissors. Cut that tape right off. Okay, so we'll do the other one. Same thing. Luckily we don't have a one-way design, so we don't have to worry about. And we're just going to center it on here. Now these pieces are really small and there's a lot going on in this cluster. So if you're not absolutely perfect with your placement, I wouldn't worry too much. Okay, so we'll put our tape on our reverse tweezers. These reverse tweezers are so awesome. They're like having another set of hands. And I always thought having more hands would be great. Might look kind of funny, cost you a fortune in gloves, but it'd be helpful. Okay, although if we all had extra hands, would it look funny? Or would we just look like we're supposed to look? I know, heavy questions for the day, huh? Okay, so double check, make sure we don't have any gaps. We do not, so we're good. So we know that we've done that. So it looks like the next thing we need to do is we need to take that little skinny piece of the blue stripe on one side and the wider piece goes on the other side. So here's our two pieces. Now these are sort of directional because you don't want one, well, you know what? No, they're not, because once you move them, they're going the right direction. So I think we're cool. So we don't have to worry too much. So I will turn it this way so that I match the picture a little better. And I'm going to use the tape again. And I want it like that. We'll get our tape onto our reverse tweezers. And we can sit that down because the tape's not going to touch anything. And it appears from the picture that this is also centered. So I think that looks pretty good. And we'll butt it up there and we'll slip our tape down. Okay, and we'll do a second piece of tape just to make sure that nothing moves on us. We are going to glue this down to the base page, so you don't have to put the tape on every single piece of this, but I would put it on each end to keep it from moving. Okay, so make sure we don't have any gaps, which we don't, so that looks good. So now what we're going to do is we're going to place this piece, and it kind of looks like they have it this way with the lighter at the bottom. So we're going to go ahead and do it that way too. And you know, like I've said before, you don't have to do this exactly the way that it's shown in the instructions. Feel free to use your creativity and change things around. I really enjoy the process of building these things. And so for me, doing it exactly how they have it in the instructions is enjoyable. That way I do have creativity, I do have that, but sometimes it's nice just to have the actual, the tactile activity of putting it together without having to think too much. So I kind of like it this way. Okay, so I think at this point, it might be a good idea to go ahead and put down our photo mats. And I think we'll put this little piece down right here. We'll wait to put this flower on because we want part of the flower to be stuck down here, but then over here we don't want any glue at all. So I think we'll wait on that, and then we'll definitely wait on this because we're going to have to put some powder on part of that sticker. Okay, so let's put our photo mats down, our little journaling spot, and then we'll be ready to put this on to our page. So a little bit and a little bit, and it appears that we've got ourselves a 1/4 inch. Yep, we've got a 1/4 inch, or I'm sorry, 1/8 of an inch border. So there's that. Again, I'm going to be replacing these pictures as we go throughout the year, so these don't have to absolutely be straight, but I'm going to do them straight because that way, if I don't get my pictures done right away, it doesn't look really crazy. And do it like that. And actually, it looks like this one's a little bit crooked, so we'll pull that up and fix that. And there we go. Okay. So, and I think maybe when I put my actual picture on, if I'm doing 2 3x4s, I think I might bring them closer to the middle so that I have more of the blue showing, because I really like that blue color. Or if I do 1 4x6, you know, there you go. Okay, and this is just going to be centered in the middle of this diamond. Now, you can use the measurements, but I think for myself, I think it might be easier just to go ahead and glue it down by sight, because I have this this diamond to work from. Okay. And again, I'm using more glue than you would need to use if you were just doing it into a photo album. Okay, so we will eyeball the corners, make sure we've got all of our corners straight. And then this background also has a line in it, so that'll help you as well to make sure that you have things straight. Okay, so once everything's down, then we're going to go ahead and this will be our little journaling piece. It'll go right there. And you know, like I've said before, if you want to hold these back, do your journaling separately and then attach them, you can definitely do that. A good way to do that might be to attach an envelope to the back of your calendar if you're doing it as a calendar. Attach an envelope to the back of your calendar And then you can put all those little die cut pieces in there. You can even put little post-it notes on the die cut pieces so that you know which months they go with. Something that would be really cute with this one, if you wanted to, there's a hole right there. You could always string a piece of twine through that hole and give yourself a little bit of dimension. Again, I'm trying to keep my dimension down a little bit because this is going to be a calendar and it's going to be hanging in my kitchen. So I don't want there to be too much thickness or too much bulk or weight, really. Okay, so now it's time to glue this guy down. Now this, if you look, it overlaps the pictures. So we want to make sure that we're not putting any glue right in this area. So I'm going to flip it over. I've got my glue. So I know that I'm going to keep the glue right along this line. So now I can fill in the rest of the space with the glue. This would also be a good piece for you to add some dimension to if you were going directly into a photo album. And you could do that with some foam tape, or you could do that with some glue dots. We sell both of those at Close to My Heart, so I will try to remember to link those items for you. Even though I'm not using them, I'll try to link them so that you know how to get a hold of those items. Okay, I want to make sure that I'm not sticking it with my glue onto the picture. I'm catching the edge of my tag there, but I still have room for my journaling. So that one's down. And then I think what we'll do now is go ahead and put our word spring on. Now, if you look at this, the P is not actually covering the photo. So I think we'll go ahead and put that on first, and then we can line up the S. Now the S may be a little bit tricky because there's a whole lot of it that is touching the photo. So I think what we'll try to do is make sure that this bottom part has glue, has stickiness still stuck on it, and this top piece still has stickiness. So let me grab, I didn't get my, this is my little bucket of, embossing. So maybe one day I'll do some embossing and show you how that works. Not any embossing to be done with this, but we will use our little embossing buddy. I'll have this in my frequently used items, and I just buy it once. This part comes off, so once you've used all your powder that it comes with, this part comes off. Just buy cheap baby powder at Dollar Tree. It works fine. Don't get the kind that has any kind of a medicated in it, or if it has cornstarch in it, because sometimes that can cause an acid reaction with your pictures. So I wouldn't use that kind if you're doing scrapbooking. Okay, so let's go ahead and poke through our middle pieces so that they stay on the paper. And we've got a little, I think they're called tittles, at the top of an eye. Let's ask the husband. He knows all that. Is that a tittle that's at the top of an eye? So. He says yes, he thinks so. So I think that's what it is. If I'm wrong, please leave down in the comments exactly what it's supposed to be called. Okay, so we will, I'm going to try to pop this little guy out of here because it's kind of big and I don't want it to get stuck to anything. And we'll do that with this too and just get rid of it so we don't have to mess with it. Anyway, the tittles seem to get lost sometimes. So if you lose a tittle, don't worry too much about it because people know what it's supposed to be. Another option would be to use a pen and draw it in if necessary, but we're going to do our best not to lose it. And we're going to also do our best to get this off of this paper without being here for another hour. Okay. Now the good thing about this one is all of these letters are stuck together. So we don't have to worry too much about trying to keep our letters straight. So I think what we'll do is we will start with the P, and I think I might bring it over just a little bit so that I have more of my S actually touching the paper. rather than having so much of it crossing over the picture. That'll give me a little, if I already had my pictures, I could go ahead, put my pictures in, and then just put my S right over the top of the picture and everything would be fine. But because I'm doing my pictures later, and this photo mat, just this photo holder, placeholder, does not want to stay where I'm putting it. So we're going to give it a little bit more glue. And see how that slips right under there? And that's what you want to have happen. And then later you can glue it if you need to. You can pull it up with your tweezers, put a little dot of glue, push it back down again. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to pull our S off of here. We've got another one of these pieces. Let's get rid of that so it doesn't get stuck to anything. And I'm just sticking that all on a baby wipe I have off to the side here. I recommend you always have a baby wipe ready to go. Okay, so when we're going to stick this down, we know that this bottom part is going to be on the paper. So it looks like we might be able to get away with just putting a little bit of powder right there. So the way you do that, just get yourself a little bit of powder started. Be careful not to get it on the other parts of the sticker because you still want those parts sticky. And then just rub your finger and make sure that you've got all the sticky. You may need to add a little touch more. And if you don't have one of these little guys, just get yourself a little container, put some baby powder in it, and you can use a paintbrush to do the same thing I'm doing. You can even use your finger. So don't feel like you need to run out and spend a fortune on all these supplies. I've been crafting for a lot of years, so I have a lot of these supplies already. They were definitely not something that were bought all at one time. Okay, so I'll tell you what, let's do it this way because we know that we want to line up the S right at the edge, and we know we left that with no sticky so that we could get our picture in there. So there you go. So now when you do your photo, it's just going to see how it moves. It's just going to slide right in there and then right under this flower. So putting this particular picture in may be a little bit, you know, fiddly, but it'll be fine. And so I think we have our entire layout done. Awesome. So this is April. I will be back tomorrow to show you the May layout. And if you have any questions, go ahead and leave them down in the comments and I will get back with you. And I want to thank you for watching and have a great day. Thanks. Bye.